The outdoor industry has changed so much over the last 18 years. When my wife Tiffany and I got into this, we weren't looking to do this full time. We were looking to maybe do it for a year or two while we started our family, and then I was going to go back into teaching. She was going to stay at home with the kids, and would pretty much be retired by now. But doors just kept opening. We were very blessed. We met some great people along the way. We were fortunate to get in with the Outdoor Channel early on, and they were actually hiring us as hosts. So we did not have to worry about sponsorship dollars or anything like that. We did our own thing there, and met some other folks along the way. Wolf Creek Productions out there in Michigan were wonderful folks to hook up with. We wouldn't be with where we were today if it wasn't for them as well. But there have been a lot of changes in the outdoor industry. When we first got into writing, wrote my first article over 20 years ago for magazines. Been writing ever since. And at the time, I was told that there were about 400 of us full time in the country making a living just off writing. And you think, wow, 400 outdoor writers, that's not very many. It's fewer than there are players in the NBA. So it's a very difficult nut to crack. And I was just told by one of the big magazines here the other day that there are less than 50 of us now. So, you wonder why the drop. And, with magazines, kind of dropping daily, it seems. There are fewer people reading, print content, longer content. We've been fortunate to still make a living in the outdoors, and it's been diversification that's allowed us to do just that.
Yeah, and we talked about earlier, you've got some cookbooks. Why don't you speak about Tiffany's cookbooks? Because not everybody hunt, not everybody fishes, but everybody eats. So recipes are really a growing marketplace. Hint, 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 listeners.
Yeah,
Into the outdoor space.
yeah. Recipes are big. We do a lot of seminars. We do, I don't know, 60, 70 seminars a year. Cabela's has us doing a lot at their stores. We used to go all over the country doing these things together. And our biggest draw, our biggest attendance draws for seminars were the butchering seminars we did. Go to Pennsylvania or, the big show there in Harrisburg or NRA or any of the big shows and, plop a whole deer there on the table and show people how to butcher it and all the different ways to cook it. And there was a lot of interest. And some of the bigger cities we did these in, where these appearances were promoted on TV and in newspapers, it was nothing to get 200-300 people. And less than half of them were hunters. These were people who were interested in number one, wild game because it's lean. It's so much more healthy than a lot of the farm raised animals. But then also the aspect of being able to butcher it yourself. So instead of go ahead and getting a pig at the butcher shop and having them butcher it and cut it up and wrap it and package it, you're buying the pig from the farm and doing it all yourself. So there's been a lot of intrigue there by hunters and non-hunters alike. And I think the hunters out there would be very, very surprised at the number of people who aren't active hunters, but who are really intrigued with our lifestyle and why we hunt and, what the rewards are in the end in terms of putting quality game and fish and birds on the table. And that's where a lot of Tiffany's success has come lately. More companies are hiring her to develop recipes for them. Cookbooks still sell okay, but books in general don't sell like they used to. Between the two of us, I don't know, we have over 24 books, I think, out there on hunting, fishing, and cooking, and they're not really selling as much. It's a lot easier, to pull up the phone these days with a recipe on it, or the iPad and work that way. So she's doing more with that as we kind of, mold our lifestyle into the changing demands of the industry.
Oh, you say that. Now, how does Tiffany promote her work? Does she go to YouTube? Does she use Facebook, Instagram? How do you monetize, that work?
That's something we've always held to. We've never tried to monetize things ourselves. We could honestly care less how many Facebook followers we have or how many people like an Instagram posts. We've monetized that by doing it for others in the industry. We'll promote things, we'll promote events, we'll share things here and there, but the monetization comes on the back end for us. Being compensated to make X number of posts a month, being able to promote what it is we're doing, but we're not very I guess, savvy at, running things through YouTube. We started a YouTube channel, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe more. But we just couldn't find the value in it. You have to have so many followers, and it's so regulated, and especially the hunting side. Years ago it was very tough. So, if we're not getting paid to create the content, then we're not going to create the content just for the number of Facebook likes or the whatever it may be. So we've held out, and it's been a good model to go by.
So
Bottom line,
what I hear, go
bottom
ahead.
line is, bottom line is, sorry, people are wanting the knowledge, and after doing this for holy cow, 40 some years, I've been hunting and fishing, and we've been married now 28 years, and we started off together living a subsistence lifestyle in Alaska. We've traveled all over the world and all over the country, so the knowledge is where we're finding that we're still gaining a stronghold. We're not entertainers. We're not the best looking couple out there by any means. Well, my wife is. I drag down that I skew that pretty hard. But we're not the eye candy out there. It's the knowledge that we're able to provide, and you're only going to get that through years of knowledge. I started writing a bear book here. I really wanted to write a black bear hunting book, and I had a guy approach me, and he said, "Hey, I want to write a black bear hunting book." He said, "What's your advice on it?" And I said, "Well, how many bears have you killed?" And he said, "Well, 3." And I said, pump the brakes right there. I said, "How can you write a book and you've only killed 3 animals of the species?" He said, "Well, I've learned a lot." And he said, "How many?" I said, "Well, it's funny because I was looking at writing a bear book, but it's going to be a couple of years." And he said, "Well, how many bears have you killed?" And it was 30 some that I'd killed. He said, "Well, why haven't you written a book?" And I said, "Because I don't have near the knowledge to write a book." And I remember when I killed my 52nd bear, and it's like, okay, I'm in a spot right now where I feel I can share that knowledge. But what I see now in the industry are so many people that just don't have the true depth of experience that allow them to convey knowledge in a I guess, I don't know, respectful way to the outdoors and to the animals and to the industry. And that's where it takes a long time to make it in this industry, and being able to devote those years, and days of year out in the field. At the height of the TV career, we were hosting two TV shows, 26 episodes each, so 52 hunts a year, or 52 shows a year. So I was going on 55, 60 big game hunts a year, 280 days a year. And there's no, what I'm really getting at here is there's no substitute for gaining knowledge by being out there in the field. And that's where I'm seeing a lot of corners being cut at this time in the outdoor industry.
And with that, folks, we're going to come off Facebook Live to recap. One, you have to have the experience, and hunting whitetails for 52 years, I sort of kind of qualify for that. Two, with Scott, he just said, the investment of time, energy, because when he was hunting on all those hunts, those 50 hunts, he was going for his family. He paid a price to get that knowledge so he could take it now and then build it into content that people will pay for. Because here's the other little secret to this whole thing. As hunters decline, more and more hunters are looking to people who have the knowledge. And to get that knowledge, those people become very valuable. Scott, probably in the next 5 years, prophetically, Scott will make more money than he did in the past 10 years. Why? Because he's only one of 50 people that are still writing. 2, he's engaged and he's passionate about his sport. So people are going to come to him and say, "Hey, you've got the stage presence, you've got it all lined out. How can we use you?" And then he says, "It's going to cost you this much to do that." It's pure business, folks. This is a business. This isn't a candy shop where, "Oh, I'm on pro staff," and I mean that. "I'm on pro staff. Look at me, look at me, look at me." You're cheating the system, and guess what? Every time you accept something, and somebody sent me some stuff, I said, "Thank you very much," but I cheated myself because my value to them is far greater with Whitetail Rendezvous Media Group than it is writing a note or showing them a grip and grin with a nice whitetail taken with their gear.
That's right.
Let's close this up segment. Any final thoughts, or we'll go to the podcast?
No, we're good to go.